See, you don't quit it, and you don't quit in sports. You retire. You don't get to quit. It's not an option. See, someone told me that a long time ago. That ain't even an option. And the person told me that, he ain't here anymore. He died. This is what's great about sports. This is what the greatest thing about sports is. You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it. That's the great thing about sports. You play to win. And I don't care if you don't have any wins. You go play to win. When you start telling me it doesn't matter, then retire. Get out.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another fantastic episode of the Randall Handles Football Podcast. I am your host, Randall Tevis. So last week was a very exciting week in terms of football. We've got to witness another fourth quarter comeback from Patrick Mahomes against the Las Vegas Raiders, as well as some downsides. We saw Joe Burrow go down with a gruesome injury with the hopes that he will return next season at the beginning of the season. So, of course, with the introduction to Week 12, we are finally at Thanksgiving. And, of course, what better way to celebrate Thanksgiving than to watch football all day long? So, with that being said, let's go into the games from last week so we can get into the games for this week. Last week, I posted a record of 7 correct choices and 7 incorrect choices for a record of 7-7. That's literally right at 500. And well, it was a bit of a disappointment if you ask me. Starting out on Thursday Night Football, we had the Seattle Seahawks beating the Arizona Cardinals, which is what I predicted would happen. Continuing into the Sunday games, the Washington football team beat Cincinnati Bengals. Unfortunately, like I said, there was that injury to Joe Burrow. And so that really derailed any hopes of Cincinnati getting a few wins at the end of the season and really getting that confidence push going into next season. I did pick Washington to beat Cincinnati. The third game was my upset of the week as I picked Atlanta to beat New Orleans. And for all of about 10 minutes, it looked like that was going to happen until that defense of New Orleans absolutely put the clamps down and didn't allow Atlanta to do anything in the second half of that game. So I was wrong in picking Atlanta to win. The Pittsburgh Steelers remained undefeated and did beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Green Bay Packers blew a 21-point lead against the Indianapolis Colts at one point? I know it was at least a 14-point lead. Ultimately lost that game in overtime to the Colts. I did pick Green Bay to win, so that one, again, was a downside. The New England Patriots lost to the Houston Texans. Houston led for the most part after the second quarter. New England came out to an early lead. Had a chance to come back there at the end. They were driving in the fourth quarter with under 2 minutes in their 2-minute drill, but they did come up just short and were not able to score and tie the game. Cleveland pretty much dominated Philadelphia once again. You know, I think Cleveland's going to be a scary team. It seems like week in and week out, I am saying that Cleveland dominated that game, especially in the running game. And so if you can run the ball and you have a good defense, Myles Garrett, then you're going to be a scary playoff team. So watch out, AFC. Here comes Cleveland. And I did pick Cleveland to win that game. The Detroit Lions got absolutely manhandled and shut out by the Carolina Panthers. I said going into that game it was going to be the battle of the two injured quarterbacks. However, Teddy Bridgewater ended up not playing. And P.J. Walker got his first career NFL start and did enough to win that game. I wouldn't say he played excellent. I wouldn't say he played good, but he did okay and did enough to win that game. The Tennessee Titans went into Baltimore and did beat the Ravens again for the second time this year, going back to the playoffs in January. Minnesota Vikings, probably one of the worst losses for them. I know they've had a lot of losses this season, but man, you were not supposed to lose to Dallas, but the Minnesota Vikings did lose to Dallas. And all of a sudden, it looks like Andy Dalton is the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, and they are showing some hope. So who knows what will happen in that crazy, crazy NFC East? Who knows? Maybe Dallas will win that division with 4 or 5 wins. So we'll see. The Los Angeles Chargers, my lock of the week, did beat the New York Jets. Although the Jets did make a ferocious comeback there at the end after the Chargers were up by 15 or 18 points. Jets did almost come back and tie up that game, so it's okay. The Los Angeles Chargers did hold on to the victory. They did. I was correct with that lock of the week. Miami versus Denver. Miami played a terrible, terrible game. I haven't been that thrilled with Miami's offense since Tua Tagovailoa came into the starting job. It's more been their defense that has carried the team, and Tagovailoa has just done enough to manage the game. So Miami did lose. They did snap their winning streak. So poor guys. Continuing into the Sunday night game, Kansas City did beat Las Vegas as I correctly predicted. But on Monday night, Tampa Bay Buccaneers absolutely shot themselves in the foot. Tom Brady had enough chances to win that game. The Rams allowed them to win that game, but they couldn't get the job done, and the Rams won in prime time. So, like I said, overall, 7 correct, 7 incorrect for last week. Going into Week 12, like I said, what better way to celebrate Thanksgiving than to watch football all day long? We have 3 games on Thursday for Thanksgiving. Kicking off the action at 9:30 Pacific Time, 12:30 Eastern, we have the Houston Texans traveling to Detroit to take on the Lions. Now, typically Detroit is a good team to bet on Thanksgiving. However, their loss last week did enough to convince me that there's no way in hell that they're going to win this game. And I'm going to pick Houston Texans to beat this game, to beat the Lions on this Thanksgiving game. I think Deshaun Watson's been playing very well, especially last week against the Patriots. So I'm going to pick Houston to beat Detroit. The next matchup, of course, every Thanksgiving, you can't have a Thanksgiving game without watching America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys are hosting the Washington football team, and what ultimately the winner of this game will be in the lead, which is crazy to think, but the winner of that game will be in the lead of the NFC East, at least for a few days. We have 2, 3, and 7 teams battling it out between Washington and Dallas. Ultimately, like I said, I think Washington is the better team with Alex Smith at quarterback. Even though Dallas had a big bounce back game last week, and if they can continue playing like that, they will be the division winners. But I still like Alex Smith. I think right now he's the best quarterback in that division. So I'm going to pick Washington to beat Dallas here. And in our primetime matchup on Thursday, our Thursday night matchup, as we're all sitting down to eat our turkey dinners, or maybe we just finished and we're ready to unwind with a game of football, we have the Baltimore Ravens traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Now, this probably would constitute my upset of the week, but I'm going to reserve that for a different game. I am picking Baltimore to win this game, although, again, I would not be in the least bit surprised if Pittsburgh did win. I just can't see Pittsburgh finishing the season undefeated. I still think they're going to have probably 2, maybe 3 losses on the season. And one of those losses will be against Baltimore right here. So I am picking the Baltimore Ravens to win this game as a nice bounce back win. Baltimore's really been struggling these last few weeks. They can't throw the ball, they can't run the ball. So look for them to really bounce back here against Pittsburgh. The next matchup in Week 12, moving to Sunday morning, is the Miami Dolphins traveling to New York to take on the Jets. Like I said, Miami has been struggling on offense lately, and this probably will be a get-right game for them. Everybody's been dominating the Jets. The Jets are still a winless team, and they are a team that I could see going winless this entire season. So I'm not going to pick the Jets to win here. I have the Dolphins beating the Jets. The next matchup is the Arizona Cardinals traveling to Boston, traveling to Foxborough to take on the New England Patriots. Arizona, they're an up-and-down team. Of course, they had that Hail Murray a few weeks ago against the Buffalo Bills to squeak out that win. Last week was not a good showing against the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to pick the New England Patriots to win this game. I think everybody is hyping up the Arizona Cardinals a little bit too much. They are a good team. They probably will be a playoff team, probably at 9-7. But they're definitely not one of the best teams in the NFL, let alone the NFC. So I think New England could really win this game and, keep their playoff hopes alive as well. So I'm picking the Patriots to beat the Cardinals. The next game sees the Carolina Panthers traveling to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. It remains to be seen if Teddy Bridgewater is going to come back and be the quarterback for the Panthers, or if again they're going to turn to Walker for his second career start. I think either way, I think Minnesota bounces back from their loss last week against the Dallas Cowboys, and they take this game against the Carolina Panthers. I'm picking the Vikings to beat the Panthers. Expect that run game behind Dalvin Cook and company to really get going against Carolina again. The next matchup sees the streaking Cleveland Browns taking on the streaking Jacksonville Jaguars. Unfortunately, they're just going in the wrong direction. I believe Jacksonville is up to 9 or 10 straight losses in this season, and Cleveland's been doing pretty good these last few weeks. So I expect Cleveland to have a big game, a huge game, running the ball, throwing the ball. I'm picking the Browns to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. And listen, if the Cleveland does win, I think they're up to a record of 7 wins or 8 wins and 3 losses, something like that. Man, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good time right now to be a Cleveland Browns fan. They've been waiting a long time for this, so it is well-deserved. The next matchup is a battle of AFC South teams with the Tennessee Titans traveling to Indianapolis to play the Colts for the second time in 3 weeks. If you remember, literally just 3 weeks ago, they did have that Thursday night matchup where the Colts did beat the Tennessee Titans 34-17. I think it's going to be a little bit of the same thing. I'm going to pick the Colts to beat the Titans here. And if the Colts really do win, they're going to have a real good hold on that AFC South and probably will end up being the division winner. So I'm picking the Colts to beat the Titans. The next matchup is a battle of the lowly New York Giants versus the lowly Cincinnati Bengals. This game would have been a whole lot more interesting had Joe Burrow been the starting quarterback, had he not got injured, and probably if he was still the quarterback, I would have picked Cincinnati to win this game. However, with Cincinnati not having Joe Burrow, they're not even going to start Ryan Finley either. I'm picking the New York Giants to get this win. It's unfortunate that the Giants had their bye week last week because they were coming off of a good win the prior weeks, so against the Philadelphia Eagles. So either way, I think the Giants can keep their momentum going. I think the Giants are going to beat the Cincinnati Bengals. I think that Daniel Jones, is going to come through in the clutch. Our next matchup sees the Los Angeles Chargers taking on the Buffalo Bills. Not much to say here. I think Buffalo overall is the better team. They have the better quarterback, the better defense, the better surrounding weapons than the Chargers. That's nothing to take away from what Justin Herbert has been doing all season long or what Keenan Allen provides Herbert. But like I said, I think the Bills are the better overall team. I think this could be a competitive game, especially if, again, Herbert has a real good game. It could be a close one, but I'm going to pick the Bills to win this game. The next matchup sees my upset of the week as the Atlanta Falcons host the Las Vegas Raiders. Everybody's been high on the Raiders ever since they beat the New Orleans Saints back in week 2 or week 3. And don't get me wrong, they are having a good season. But I don't think that they're quite ready to say that they're one of the top teams in the AFC West. They're definitely not ready to compete with the Chiefs. And so I think that Atlanta has the offensive weapons to win this game. The Raiders definitely don't have that dominant defense like the New Orleans Saints did last week. So I think they will be able to move the ball. This will be a game where there's points aplenty. So I think all in all, though, the Falcons are the better team, more equipped for a shootout. And I have the Atlanta Falcons upsetting the Las Vegas Raiders. The next matchup sees my beloved 49ers traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. I am not going to pick the 49ers to win here. Although they did beat the Los Angeles Rams, I believe it was in week 5, when they hosted the Los Angeles Rams and got their only home win of the season. The 49ers have been a much better road team than a home team. But listen, with all the injuries that they have, I'm still not going to pick them to win. I have the Rams winning, especially after that nice statement win last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The next matchup sees the New Orleans Saints traveling to Denver to take on the Broncos. Again, Denver's coming off that nice, impressive win against the Miami Dolphins, but I think that the New Orleans Saints is a completely different monster than the Miami Dolphins. Even if it's Taysom Hill starting quarterback or Jameis Winston or Drew Brees, I just think that the Saints can do a whole lot more on offense than any other team that Denver's playing right now, outside of probably the Kansas City Chiefs. So I'm going to pick the New Orleans Saints to win this game here against the Denver Broncos. Speaking of those Chiefs, the next game has the Kansas City Chiefs traveling to Tampa to take on the Buccaneers. Once again, I think the Chiefs are probably the best offense in the league. They're the most explosive. I'm going to pick the Chiefs here to beat the Buccaneers. And all of a sudden, the Buccaneers are not playing good. If they lose this game, they'll be sitting at a record of 7-5. And they're going to be right. Forget about those chances of winning their division. They're going to be a wild card team. So this is a big game for Tom Brady and company. But I think, once again, the Chiefs are just too overpowered for really any team to keep up with them. So I have the Chiefs beating the Buccaneers. Going into Sunday night, we have the Chicago Bears traveling to Green Bay to take on the Packers. Not much to say here. There's literally nothing that the Bears are getting from their quarterback play. Nick Foles just went down for an injury. So it'll be interesting to see if Trubisky is the starting quarterback for the Bears. I just think the Packers are the better overall team. Better offense. They have a good defense, so I'm picking the Packers here to win this game and to pretty much almost clinch that NFC North division. And for our last game on Monday Night Football, we have the Seattle Seahawks traveling to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. Seattle's the better team here, no question about it. I have the Seahawks winning this game as well. So again, just running through all of my picks for this week, I have Houston beating Detroit, Washington beating Dallas, and Baltimore beating Pittsburgh for a clean, all three road teams winning on Thanksgiving. I have the Dolphins beating the Jets, the Cardinals losing to the Patriots beating the Cardinals, the Vikings beating the Panthers, the Browns beating the Jaguars for my lock of the week, the Colts beating the Titans, the Giants beating the Bengals, the Buffalo Bills beating the Los Angeles Chargers, Atlanta upsetting Las Vegas as my upset of the week, the Rams beating the 49ers, the Saints beating the Broncos, Chiefs beating the Buccaneers, Packers over the Bears, and lastly, the Seahawks beating the Eagles. So as always, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you everybody for listening, and don't forget, gobble till you wobble. Thank you, everybody.
I don't care who you play, whether it's a high school team, a junior college team, a college team, much less an NFL team. When you turn the ball over 5 times, 4 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown, 3 others in field position to set up touchdowns, you ain't gonna beat anybody I just talked about. Anybody. All right? And that was a disgraceful performance, in my opinion. We threw that game. We gave it away by doing that. We gave them the friggin' game. In my opinion, that sucked. What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.